Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Altar Call MAFS. I am your host, Tane, and I'm here for another show that we're powering through after the rewatch of season 9. Thank you guys for watching that with me. Might as well introduce my co host, the same person who went through season 9 with me. It is Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Tane. I figured since I'm probably one of your oldest guests that it makes sense that I cover all the old stuff. So I'm here for whatever old stuff you have. I got it covered.
Don't do that, Jen. The thing is, guys, with the intro, I never know what Jen's going to say. We don't talk about this ahead of time. Because I'm remembering the last time you were like, oh, I did this. I ate curry from a British man doing this, and I'm stuck in the bed. Wasn't expecting it. So, yeah. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. Never thought about the age, but yeah. Yes, we finished season 9 and that is done. It went by really quickly. We still don't have a date for MAFS, but I'm hearing that it might be October. My only reservation about that is that if it is October, wouldn't they start promoting by now
You
for
would
it?
you would think, but I mean, Kinetic is also, wrapping up. I heard from you, I believe, that there's two more Love is Blinds coming out. So maybe their hands are full and they're not ready to focus on
Yeah,
that
but
stuff yet.
I know, but different networks, so I would think. And I don't know if I've discussed this with people, and I think I might have mentioned to you, Jen, and I don't know if I have said this on the podcast before. So we know that Austin is already filmed. But when
Yes.
Austin was filmed, it was filmed when it was still with Lifetime. And I think I've said that if I was Kinetic, do not have their money, their influence, or anything. If I were them, I wonder if I would want to introduce a new audience or a new world to MAFS with the old format. Depending on, we also
Mm.
don't know what they're going to change, what it's going to be. They had no say in it. And, the old one was like 2 hours and they had all these things. Wouldn't they just want to come in on Peacock fresh instead of having it with people who may not like it and then they never get them back again? That would they go as far as scrapping the Austin season completely? Like, I don't know why they just didn't let it finish out on Lifetime and then on Peacock let it be completely new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And that makes sense. And maybe, that's what the delay is the back and forth about, well, we've always done it this way. Well, but now you're with us. We've got to do it this way. So there might be some back and forth in terms of editing. I'd be shocked. I don't know how much it costs to put the show on. Um,
Yeah.
but I'd be shocked. And I'd be upset if I were those Austin people if the show wrapped after they recorded it. So I would be real surprised if it didn't come out at all.
Yeah, I don't expect them not to do it. I'm just wondering why they just didn't finish it out on Lifetime. Like this long wait, just let it play out and use that time while we're watching it on Lifetime. Just get your stuff together for Peacock. Because if they are going to do changes, right? Why would you introduce all this stuff with Austin and then next season be like, oh, we have all these changes? I don't know. It sounds complicated, but that's why they get paid the big bucks to figure that out. But
That's what I was going to say. When there's something that makes zero sense to me, it usually comes down to money. So there's some money thing going on here.
yeah. And then more than likely, and then the other thing I wonder is, are they going to dump all the episodes on us?
Mm,
As
that
a
would be
podcaster,
nice.
I do not want that. Do not want that because everyone's going to be watching at a different pace. Like if I'm doing it weekly, not going to be able to do that, all at the same time. And it's just going to be, if it's 2 hours, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah. I don't
So
know. I
we'll see.
feel as somebody that follows multiple podcasts for similar shows, I think that I personally am, uh, as a listener, loyal to my people. So whether my people cover it quickly because it's been dumped or whether they go weekly, I'm still going to follow them because I like my people and I want to know what they're going to say. So I don't know. I think the people that follow you and enjoy your format, I don't think you're going to lose them if they dump all at once.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. And for you guys who also listen, I think my concern more is about the watching it. It'll be overwhelming. I mean, to watch
Yeah.
just for myself, like all of it, and try to remember what my points are. Really, that's
Yeah.
my concern because there's not a lot of shows like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It's still kind of light and it's still an hour, and we can do that. But Maps is kind of heavy and 2 hours. So we'll see. So anyway, so that's the deal is we're going to be covering couples therapy. Not sure I mentioned that, but I did towards the end of the MAFS episodes mention that, watch along with us and listen to our recap. I just thought it was a good transition into something else that is about, people who are married and who are in long-term relationships and trying to figure it out with Dr. Orna, who we both love, Jenn, a little bit more, right?
A lot bit more. I'm not ashamed of
A
it.
lot bit more, my
I love
bad.
Orna.
A lot bit more. So we're going to be covering couples therapy season 4, and we're starting with episode 10. In case you're wondering why that is the case, it's because I don't know why Paramount Plus, Showtime, whatever they call themselves, is calling it season 4. Now, they had season 4, 1 to 9, and it was 9 episodes, but it was in 2024. That was last year. Then they came out with a new season, and it's season 10 to like 18 or something, but it's all new people. So why is it not a season 5?
Yeah, I was so confused because when you're like, we're gonna cover season 4, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna watch 10 episodes in one day. And then you clarified for me, no, it's different people. I was like, oh, okay, that saves me some time. I think I was 3 episodes in before I realized, oh, I don't have to watch all these. But yeah, I don't know. It's real confusing because I don't know if I told you we don't watch on an approved streaming service.
Should you
So,
say it here on here?
but that's okay. Come find me, people. Um, so once we saw the 2 different years, my husband's like, yeah, this might be a totally different thing. And so that was a lot more helpful. So yay.
Yeah. Again, the execs, I don't know what you're doing. Just give yourself a season 5. Why
Hmm.
split it when it's new people? So
Hmm.
just to remove any confusion, we are starting with season 4, episode 10, which is the season that premiered this year. So you're going to see a season 4, but 1 to 9 was from 2024. So if you're watching along with us, just wanted to clarify that. So, before we get into that, just wanted to remind you that you can join my Patreon where you can listen to ad-free episodes, you can listen to early access episodes, and you can listen to bonus episodes where sometimes I have MAFS bonus episodes and sometimes I have non-MAFS bonus episodes. And right now, I'm currently covering like the challenge season 41, which Jen has refused to watch, but that's okay. I still like her.
I'm
And
actually watching it. Take that back. We started watching. You convinced me, and we're watching
okay.
it.
Yay. Do you have a fave?
I have a lot of not faves, but I don't understand why Olivia has all this power. But that's a
Yeah.
whole other thing. But yes, I have a
Yeah.
couple of faves.
Yeah. It's very strange to watch Olivia be the person in power, but like I said in one of my recaps, I'm like, if Olivia wins this season, is there an asterisk beside it? Because who is her competition? The Tories are not there. The cars are
Yes,
not there.
exactly.
Rush was kind of
Exactly.
there. The Laurels are not there. So does it really count? But who knows? I'm not going to take it away from her. Good for her. Anyway, so yeah, I covered the challenge. I just had Aid back, and we covered Unknown Number, the wild documentary that is on Netflix. 90 Days Trying to Kill Us with a whole bunch of franchises. And, we have Happily Ever After. The Other Ways coming back. Hunt for Love is on there. Trying to see what I can do with those, but definitely going to we covered Happily Ever After, did that with A2, and Sister Wives is coming back. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on there. And even if you don't want to join, you can join for free. But if you've been considering it and you just want to try it out, I currently have a sale right now, 30% off. Like I said, one of the tiers is $3. If you have 30% off, you're literally going to pay like, I don't know, math. What is it? At least $1 on there. But you can try that out there and just check out the Patreon. And we have a chat community where sometimes we just chat about shows. Okay, let's dive into the show. I feel like I should do, like, for anyone who's completely new to this show, the premise of this show is basically couples that come to talk to Dr. Orner. They have whatever it is that they're trying to figure out or solve within their marriage. Most of the time, it's people like in long term marriages or relationship. They are all based in New York. They actually do casting calls and they tell you you get free therapy for X amount of weeks and you just have to be based in New York, which I think is great. You get to have free therapy from one of the best, but the other side is everybody gonna know your business.
Yeah, and the business these people tell is like, whoa. I mean, it's therapy.
Business.
It's therapy, so you should be there to tell
Yeah.
the truth. And I think maybe it's one of those things like you hear from people on reality TV shows. At some point, you forget that there's cameras there. At some point, you forget that this is going to be in perpetuity, and that everybody in the world can access this. Your future kids, your current kids, like your grandmother, like anybody's going to be able to access this at any time. But a lot of them are in crisis and they're in need
Yeah.
and they may not have the $700 an hour that Orna charges to
Yeah.
get this kind of therapy. So I can see the investment. I'm investing my potential embarrassment because I care that much about my relationship. So I get it. It's wild. I don't think I could do it, but I appreciate that people who do it because it's wildly entertaining.
And also remember what I always say, we're all built differently. There are just certain people who don't care. And at the end of the day, it's still a reality TV show and they're willing to be on there to be on Front Street. And sometimes you find yourself picking up cues from them or picking up similarities. And maybe it is kind of free therapy for us too. Not exactly linear, but just by watching them. So, they usually do this thing where they make the couples wait for Orna in a waiting room, and I'm pretty sure that it's on purpose so that we can get an insight into the couple's dynamic. Because as they're waiting, you can tell like they're nervous, and you can see like how they act around each other. And don't quote me because I think I read this in an article about the show. Her office, or what we see as her office, is not an actual office. It's actually like a set that was built. Have you read that, or do
I
you
haven't
know?
read that, and I think it would need to be because most, therapists, unless they can afford an entire building, like they're sharing office space with other
Mm,
people, and I can't imagine trying to set up, all the lights and the cameras and everything in like a generic space that she would operate out of,
yeah.
but also for the safety of herself and the folks that are recording it. Like I can't imagine them recording in her actual
Oh,
office
yeah.
space. So it makes a lot of sense that they would do it offsite somewhere else.
That's true. And just add a little bit more dynamic. So after Orna meets with the patient, she also has a session with her therapist, Dr. Virginia, and she breaks down, maybe some of the difficulty, or maybe if she's not having a breakthrough with someone, and they just discuss dynamics, and she gets like some helpful tools to take back, dealing with the patient. And sometimes when it's not even with Dr. Virginia, they have like a whole pool of therapists, like her peer mates, and they just sit there and discuss it and just kind of pick off of each other's brains, which is kind of cool. I'm glad that they include that,
Absolutely.
in the show to give us like a
Absolutely.
full 360 of the process.
And that's one of the things too I really like about the show is that beyond the fact that I think Orna is brilliant, is that for people who are afraid of therapy or people who are afraid of therapists, I think it normalizes it to see like, no, she doesn't have all the answers. She has help. She has a mentor that she goes to. And then all the other therapists don't have all the answers. They bounce ideas off of each other. And to see that, oh, okay, this person that I'm going to for help also needs help. I think for
Hmm.
people who are afraid of therapy, hopefully seeing a show like this normalizes it. And again, I think her approach, not that
Hmm.
every therapist that you meet is going to have her approach, but I think for
Yeah.
somebody that's afraid of it, she's so calming and she's not shouty, she's not writing notes, she's not doing the things that I think people who are afraid of therapy are doing. And so I really, really like her because she has that. I listened to her on Dax Shepard's podcast,
Hmm.
and the thing I like about her is that even in that setting where this whole episode was about her, she really kind of controls the narrative. And I think Dax is such a kind of out there person and he wants to know everything about everyone. And she
Hmm.
was real kind of like, I'm going to give you what I want to give you
Hmm.
because I need to protect myself, but also
Yeah.
my patients. Like, it doesn't make sense to put my stuff out there because then it's not about me. So I super love her. I think she's really amazing. And not that every therapist is going to be like her. And maybe this is me revealing myself. I think she's somebody that I would connect to in a treatment situation.
Yeah. She's very, very good at that. And I think the other part that I like about the getting tools, getting help is like I think it was the season before this or the same season, part one, where she got really invested with one of the patients. It was like a couple, but she was more invested in one half of the couple, and she was very vulnerable about that. And like,
Yeah.
either like she was relating to it, she's not telling us her business like you mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
she's sharing with Virginia like, it's, oh, I don't want to take sides, but I'm getting invested. And she gets so worried like, oh, I'm hitting a wall and this isn't happening. And I just like that part for everyone to know that just because you go to therapy, it's not a fix all, and it's not like they always have all the answers.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a good thing to see. All right, and I have to mention her dog. She has this dog that's I can't remember his name, but he's always there, and that's part of what they do. Like in the waiting room, is like either they're bickering with each other or they're playing with the dog, and then you see this in between scenes where they just show Orna walking him around the city of New York. It almost feels like the city of New York is like the silent cast member
Yeah.
on here, because they have this flyaways where they show couples that are not on the show just doing regular things, holding each other, having lunch, and things. Like, it's just a really well produced show. Like, I
Yes.
know, like, I rag on TV therapists, and in MAFS we talk about the experts, but Orna is legit. Like, you watch it, like, couples therapy is not, it doesn't feel like TV therapy. It feels like actual work is being done, and it's genuine, even though it's a reality TV show.
Yeah. And I
So,
agree, much in the way that New York was kind of another character in Sex and the City. Like, New York is a
mhm.
character here because I think it talks about the kind of couples that you may
Yes.
find. Like, you're not going to find, the triad in South Dakota. Like, you're not going to find
Yeah.
somebody like Boris. And I think that was something that was really interesting about this season, where there seemed
Yeah.
to be a lot of culturally mixed couples in terms of like, oh, this person's from the USSR or Russia, or this person's from another country. Like, there seemed to be a lot of cultural
Yeah.
mixing in this season, which I think is really unique to New York too. And I like to, from your perspective, um, about them covering the couples in the waiting room. They don't really do it that much, but I think for the audience, you can see who they are as a couple versus
Mhm.
who they are when they're interacting with Orna. Because
Mhm.
even the couple from the earlier part of the season, I think her name was Eliana, and Mitch, like, she's so bitchy to him in the session, but when they're in the waiting room, she's kind of playful with him, where I think at
Mhm.
one point she goes, "Oh, I forgot my list." And he goes, "Oh, your list of complaints about me?" Or no, he said, "The list of things you love about me." And she's like, "No, no, my list of things you went wrong this week." And you got to see her be playful and fun. And some of the earlier season couples where one person is real like, "Rrr," when they're in that waiting room, they're not so aggressive, I guess. And so you can see for a brief moment how the couple got together. Because if you just look at
Mhm.
them relative to them talking to Orna, you're like, how did you guys get here? Why are you here?
Yeah.
And seeing them at least interact socially, I think that helps too. When you see them at home, they do the flashbacks of them at home, just kind of watching TV or eating dinner or whatever. You get to see
Yeah.
them in a different context, which I think is really helpful. It kind of reminds you that, oh,
Softens it. Yes.
yeah, they're people outside of this small piece that we're seeing together. So I
Yeah.
like, it's a really well produced show, is
Yeah,
what I'm trying to
because
say.
doing therapy is not easy, and
No.
you're unearthing a whole bunch of things that are in you. You're discovering things that you might have known. It's a heightened emotional state.
Right.
So showing them, outside of that, sometimes with just playing with the kids and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just doing everyday things, it just breaks. And the thing is, it's always without words,
Yeah.
There is something so brilliant about that. Well, watching them do everyday things, it could be paying bills, it could be walking on the sidewalk, but it's always without words. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have
Look.
waxed poetic about the show. We should probably get into the show.
Yes.
So we'll take a quick break and come back and dive into the couples. Okay. So the first couple is Allison and Rod. And I don't think we've met all the couples yet. We only met three on this episode. I kept wondering if they were gonna. It seems like every season they try to have a diverse set of couples, but
Nope.
I think last season, yeah, we had the Asian couple, we had the black couple. I haven't seen any yet, but we haven't met all of them
This one,
yet.
but
So
there's four on this one.
there's four:
Yeah, Rod and Allison, Boris and
Boris and
Jessica,
Jessica,
Kyle and
Kyle and
Mondo,
Mondo. Oh, and Nick and Catherine.
and Nick and Kel. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so let's start with Allison and Rod. So they're our first couple where we're in the waiting room. The wife is reading through the titles. There's like a mini library also there. And there's a book called My Intimate Life. And she's like, I need an intimate life. I have no idea what that means. But her husband is like, yeah, you need a lobotomy. And then it's that bickering because she's like, that's so mean. And I'm like, I don't even understand the context. So to me, it doesn't even make sense. But it's like, you're being obnoxious. And he's like, well, so are you. So she's like, no, you more than me. And I'm like, oh God, they haven't even gotten into the room. They're like, it's 50-50. And, they go in and then we find out, they're Rod and Allison. They've been married 18 years. Don't ask me why Rod looks so familiar. I think he just looks familiar because he looks like a character actor,
Yes.
but he's not. Um, they said that they've both done therapy individually, but not together. They have a 10-year-old daughter that has become the moderator whenever she sees her parents fighting, which I think is like, oh my God, I'm glad you came in. If you get to the point where you forget that you have children that you're supposed to protect and you're just arguing regardless when they're there, and now she's the moderator at 10, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that caught me quickly about the two of them was he's a Brit, right? He
That's
has
what
an
I couldn't
accent.
place. I said Rod has an accent that I can't place because he has a little bit of the New York now, but it's either British or Australian, but I'm going to go with British with you.
Yeah,
So,
Brit's what caught me. And so just coming off of Love is Blind UK, like realizing that like the love language for a Brit is kind of sarcastic and mean.
hmm
And but then he also married a snarky New Yorker whose love
hmm
language may also be snarky and mean. So I don't know how they find that middle ground. And there was a point, I'm sure you're going to get to it later, where
hmm
Orna says, "Well, are you guys in the middle of an argument now?" And they're like, "No." And she's like, "Well, it sounds like you are." So I don't know what kind of gymnastics that poor kid has to put up with to be able to tell the difference at 10 between my parents are being my parents and no, my parents are arguing and I need to get in the middle of this. So that's wild.
And to your point, there's no middle ground. You say you don't know how they can't find the middle ground. And that,
Mm-hmm.
thank God they're here. And I hope they learn from it and get some tools from that. But Rod does mention that their daughter addresses them being older parents and is like, they're so old. And then Allison chimes in and is like, we're not so old. And Rod is like, okay, but in comparison to her other friends, and Allison is like, nah, we're the typical New Yorker. And everything she says sounds combative, even when she doesn't mean it to be. But she's getting really defensive, which tells me that it seems like she's triggered by the fact that they are older parents. Because I'm sorry, guys, they are quite obviously, visibly older parents.
Yes.
I don't know what else to say about it. And her fashion sense doesn't help.
Ugh.
Apparently she wears this really sequined bright colored sweaters, which I thought was a one-off thing, but when they did their throwaway scenes of them in the house, she had yet another one. So something tells me there's a closet full of these somewhere there. um she's like, no, we're in New York, it's different, that is mixed, it's different in the city. And I'm like, let this man complete a sentence. It's obvious what he means. We had a child later than usually the average, and that's what my daughter is talking about. But you trying to get the semantics of the language of it all is not productive. Let me pull a Keith. It's not productive right now. So, what is the point of bringing it up? So, Orna asked, like you said, are you in the middle of an argument? And the funny part to me is, I think he said no, and I think she said, I don't think so. And Orna's like, well, I'm very curious about your tone. And Allison is like, yes, I have a tone. And the thing is, we have no patience for each other. And Rod says, exactly. You see what this is here in the apartment, it becomes really loud. he says he's the one that tries to take a breath. And Allison's like, no, can we be honest here? Can we speak the truth? And he's like, what do you mean? And just on first impression, it does seem that way, where I want to believe that he does take a breath, but I am very sensitive to the fact that sometimes when a couple has this dynamic where the lady's the outspoken one and the guy appears to be the chilled one, it's usually false because, they know how to poke behind the scenes, and then everyone quickly wants to blame the louder one just for the mere fact because they're louder.
Yeah, and we're coming off of MAFS season 9, and it was giving in a different way, but it's giving kind of Jamie and Beth,
Jamie.
where
Mm-hmm.
Allison's this, you're going to get a big explosion out of her, and he knows how to poke her, and
Yeah.
I just like, no, you guys, how did you do this for 18 years?
18 years. Yeah.
But I understand or his frustration to have to talk to somebody who always is going to one up you. Like if you say the sky is blue and that person's like, well, it's really turquoise. It's blue. Like, why are we having this discussion? So I was annoyed for him. So I get kind of where they need some conversational coaching and how to talk to each other.
Yeah. So yeah, she says in the last couple of years, he has not had any patience for her and their daughter. So Orna asks, what are your problems right now? Rod says finances, like he works, she doesn't. She says, yes, she used to work in fashion and she left when she got pregnant to have a child. And she thinks she's now in the space where she's resentful because she left her identity. And now her daughter is older, she's questioning herself and doubting herself. And like I said earlier, and I just want to, I'm saying this for a reason. Ona is so good at her job. She listens, she picks up on cues like her aura, her words are very careful. And she demonstrates this with Allison because Allison says talking. Like, remember, we're saying like Allison is speaking the usual New York way, really fast, just saying a lot of things at once. And she says, I've gone through a lot of hardship in the last few years. And Orna stops her and is like, be specific. Then she says, my dad died last summer. And Orna is like, what happened to him? And Allison starts saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. And even in that, Orna is like, okay, you're saying whoa. What does that whoa mean? So she never lets them just stay surface or try to bypass things. She just picks up on the things that might lead to another thing so we can start like loosening the thread and getting to the meat of what the issue is.
And
So
that's
Rod's okay.
awesome. And I think that's one of my frustrations with shows like MAFS when they have experts is that somebody will say something that's kind of a red flag, and then I don't know if it's for the sake of time that they'll just gloss over it. It's like, no, do this, like dig into this because, and I forget what Pepper's
Mm-hmm.
specialty is, but as a psycho analyst that Orna is, like her job is to listen for the unconscious material, and that's what she's doing. Is she's it's real easy for somebody to be like, oh, I lost my dad. Well, okay, what does that mean? And to dig into it, and maybe in a way that I think she also kind of models conversations that the partner needs to have. So I think she's modeling to Rod, like, hey, when she says these things, like, don't just let her gloss over it. Ask her deep dive into it, which is good.
Yeah, although he has to care to want to ask. A lot of these
Well,
couples, when they come in, they sometimes seem checked in, but yeah.
yeah.
Um, Rod tells us that the world sees them as best buddies, which they are, but really and truly they're arch enemies. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. So Allison agrees that she has no patience, but it's behavior that she learned from her father. And Rod is like, yeah, how many times have you threatened divorce? And she's like, a lot of times. She tells us that she is disconnected in her life. And her problem is that she looks to him to give her something and it's not there. And I'm like, oh man, we are uncovering layers here because honestly, it's a classic human mistake where people look to their partner to provide everything for them, but there are certain things that another person cannot cure for you.
Yeah.
There are things that you have to figure out, for yourself. And that's something I also learned. Like, when I got into a relationship with my husband, we had like a everything cards on the table like date. And we
Mm-hmm.
just put everything on there. And as we got to know each other, part of why I like my husband was that he kind of challenged me. And one of the things I learned, because I think I was in that phase of life where I thought like, oh, there's certain things that your partner should do for you. But he's just like, certain things that I struggled with, he flat out told me to my face, was like, you're gonna have to figure it out. It doesn't matter how much I love you, how hard I love you. I'm not gonna be able to fix that for you. You're on
Yeah.
your own with that. So it
Yeah.
was the first time I'd ever heard that. And I was like, what? Huh? But when I sat with it, I realized that it is true, that they're just things they need to figure out. Like, no matter how much Rod is going to say, oh, I'm here for you, I'm there for you, and all that, it's not going to fix that discontent that she's feeling right now, or
Yeah.
disconnect, because it's stemming from, it seems, a lot of things. Fia already said that she learned from her father, so we're going to probably learn a lot more things with that relationship and that dynamic. And then choosing to stop working to have their child. Is there some resentment for that? Did she make that choice? And feeling empty, what does she want to do? That's a lot that Rod cannot be the only answer to fix
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that Rod should not provide support for his wife or show some understanding, because that's, as a husband, as a partner, you should be there to provide support. And it doesn't seem like he's giving her anything, but he also feels like their relationship is not actually like in the healthiest spot right now to give
Mhm.
each other what they need as partners.
Yeah. And I think for anybody, your listeners who may not know me or who may not listen to me, I'm on my second marriage. And my first
Mhm.
marriage I was in for 13 years, I believe. And then I've been my current one for, I don't even know, my current one I'm in for 8. And so I think that the thing that you learn, or I've learned when you're with somebody long term, is that just because you've been together that long doesn't mean they automatically know everything about you,
Yeah.
and doesn't mean they automatically know what's going on in your head,
Mhm.
because we change over the course of our relationships. And so who you were and what your thoughts were in years 1 through 5 may change from years 5 through 10. And so
Yeah.
you've got to be able to communicate to your partner, or Allison. I think she assumes because they've been together for so long, well, he should know what I need from him. And he has no idea, because to your point, they're disconnected. So if
Yeah.
you can't tell me what you need, how am I supposed to give it to you? But if you're assuming I already know what it is and you're pissed off at me for not giving it to you, then we're going to be further disconnected. So I feel like their stuff is manageable, but I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be picked apart and dealt
Mhm.
with in small chunks before you deal with the big part. But to me, like with 99% of relationship issues, it's a communication. Like,
Yeah.
what is it that you need, girl? He's not going to guess.
Yeah. And I think it's that, like, saying it, but also being in the headspace. Like I said, like, it doesn't seem like he even cares or cares to know. And it doesn't seem like she's in the headspace to even entertain whatever he might be feeling. She's consumed by how she feels right now, which is the other thing. Being a human being is hard. Feelings are not facts, but it's very easy to be consumed by feelings. So,
Yeah.
interested to see how this goes with these people. And I think we're also due for Where Are They Now? The
Mm,
article that I read, a lot of these people are still together, just to show that it actually works. But it'll be interesting to see, what the rates are with people, the statistics on people who stayed and people who didn't stay together.
yeah. And I think a lot of that is, which is what I was saying about MAFS, which is so frustrating, was maybe having the show give them the view of being able to see themselves.
Hmm.
Because I think when people are in therapy, it's so much of, well, you did this to me and you did this to me, and I want Orna to tell you that you're a jerk to me and that you're wrong. And so I
Hmm.
think seeing it from a TV may give some
Yeah.
people some insight that they didn't have even outside of sitting down with Orna.
Yeah. All right. We move on to Boris and Jessica. They've been together for 8 years. We learned that they are stable right now and they own a home. They have everything they've ever talked about, but now they are aliens to each other. They got married and then they kept moving everywhere, even with kids, up until 3 months ago. My first thing was like, I don't even care about you guys. I just think about the kids. Like, the thing is, when adults have bad behavior or do whatever it is they want to do, the only people that suffer are the kids.
Yeah.
The kids that didn't ask to be here. The kids that didn't have a say in a lot of the things. And I'm just thinking about moving every single time. I think she listed all the cities that they kept moving in, and I was exhausted.
And they're all
And I
very
can,
different. Like I can't
yeah,
imagine what a transition from Montana to New York looks like for a kid. Like even just your friend groups, your school, the level of education. No offense, Montana, but I imagine it's very different than a New York City education. So even from that, and that's not even talking about I have to get new friends, I have to adapt to a new climate. Everything is different in my identity, and I don't think we know yet how old their kids are,
how
but
old the kids, yeah.
I think parents think kids are
Resilient.
thank you, that's the word, kids are resilient, they'll be fine. It's like, no, not always.
Yeah, so Orna keeps probing, and they're like, okay, why were you moving? He was like, yeah, we moved around because of me. And, my parents came to the United States. They settled from the USSR in 1988. And when they were there, like, they were the unwanted people, and it never quite sat right with him that they settled in New York. So I guess he was trying to heal some childhood trauma by just traveling everywhere and going to places that he felt that he was wanted. Jessica is a psychotherapist,
Shocked.
and
Shocked.
she says that she struggled when they were in Miami. That's another city that they were in, because nobody wants to go to therapy in Miami. Why? When the beach is there and the alcohol is there, why would I go to therapy there? So he says that, but they were in Montana, where he's a writer or something, and he had a stable career that opens up everything and it's a dream, but that he gave that up to come to New York because she was struggling. And now that they're in New York, he feels trapped. I want to reiterate that they've been here for 3 months alone, just 3 months, because the moving seems like it's been years, but 3 months back in New York and he feels trapped. She says that most of their moves was for him, and this is her time, but her time is now being eroded by the fact that he's not happy. This is me saying this because men, you were fine when we were moving around for you and you wanted to do all that. And now she just asked, please, can I have some stability in my career? And now you want to bitch and whine and moan about it. Jessica says that she's afraid of leaving her office because the minute she steps home, he just starts listing the things that bother him. And I'm not going to go into detail, but just know that it took a while for Orna to actually get them to say what it is. Because she says, give me an example. Tell me what it is that he says. Like what it, because she was still beating around the bush. And that's the thing. I think we as human beings think that communication is so easy, but we don't realize that sometimes we don't answer the question.
Mhm.
We're not saying what it actually is. We're already like, maybe anticipating what the response is going to be and then kind of tailoring our answer to that and really just not saying or making any sense, but we think that we're making sense, which is so terrible because in your mind you're being very clear and concise, but
Yep.
the output is not matching what's in your head. So Orner is trying to make it make sense. So he says, if my partner was giving me what I'm giving to Jessica, I would immediately call the moving company and say, we're leaving, let's go. And I'm like, this, Boris, I know you think you're a saint, but you're not coming off as a saint. Just FYI.
No. And I would have
Um,
such a hard time as Orna being like not taking a side on this one.
Biased.
Yeah, it just seems really kind of clear. And I think, and you may get to this, the part where Jessica says, I feel this. And he's like, no, you don't. I hate when you do that. And it's like, what? She literally told you how you feel, how she feels, and you disagree with her. How do you disagree with somebody when they tell you how you feel? So I'm going to have a hard time with this guy.
Yeah, because she like to what Jen said. She said like when we were in Montana for 2 years, I was in extreme distress. Like my mental health was in the toilet. I couldn't function. I couldn't do that. And he's like, "No, you were not. Like it wasn't that bad." And then he scoffs. Actually, he scoffs at what she says and is like, "I disagree. Your wife is telling you something. Your wife is being expressive, like what you just said earlier, Jen, where it's like if you don't say what it is that you want or what it is that you're feeling, someone can't read it off of you. They're not a mind reader." She actually expresses that, and then your partner, who's supposed to be your partner, scoffs at you. and is like discounting it, that would hurt so
But also,
much.
she's a psychotherapist. This is somebody who very clearly knows how to articulate her feelings. And I imagine just from who she is that she gives it in this tone. I don't get the impression from her that she is wildly like what was that lady's name from the first season?
Allison.
From the first season.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
I,
cannot
I
remember
forget her
that.
name.
That's many years
She
ago.
was very wild, but like she's not. I don't see her being really like overly dramatic. She seems to have a good grasp of words. And especially, I think he's a teacher. I think he's some kind of writing teacher. And I think she articulates herself very well. So for him to be like, I don't agree with everything you said is crazy.
I think on top of everything else, the thing I found really, really annoying and offensive was he tells Orna, I don't know how to live with this person. Why are you calling your wife this person?
Mm,
She's sitting right beside you, being like agreeable. I think that's what you're trying to get at is the fact that she's not even fighting him,
no,
where we see a lot of these other couples where they're trying to fight. She's genuinely one of the few that I think is not trying to be right. She's just trying to see how we can make this better, where both of us can meet our needs and we can be happier
right.
in this situation. And he's just not having it. He's just like, you cannot convince me that. I think he's shocked that she's even fighting it because, yes, I get it. New York is more expensive. New York is louder. New York, you can't get a yard for the kids and stuff, and which is what he was getting at. Yes, but everyone's definition of what makes them happy is different.
But it's
So if
all
she,
about what makes him happy. Sorry, I interrupted you. But it seems to be really about what makes him happy, where he talked about he cares about cooking and he wants to be able to find a good apple. Are you telling me in all of New York City, you cannot find a good apple? That the only good apples in the world existed in Montana or friggin' Miami, that there's not a good apple. So it's just so selfish of him being
yeah,
like, these are the things I care about. I can't get what I care about, so let's get the F out of here. I can see how they got to here because she's been agreeable to this point and now she's not, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
I think I'm shocked that he even agreed to move back to New York. But then, yes, you agreed to do it, but now at what cost? You're
Yeah.
punishing her for it every time and reminding her every single time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you can't find a good apple in New York, it's just that he has decided that I am not going to find a good apple in New York. So, not much on them, but we'll see how that develops for them. I already don't like him.
Yep.
So, and it's so easy. And that's the thing when you're watching couples therapy, half the time you're just like, just break up. Just break up. Like he's just want like I don't even want you to fix it. Like just leave. Like there's no point. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break now and then I'll be back to talk about Kyle and Mundo. Okay, and we are back. So I can't remember if last season was the first time we had a poly family. No, it's not. It wasn't the first time. We've had couples that try to have like an open relationship, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Kyle was born in Poland, moved to America when he was about 3 or 4 years old. When they moved to America at 3 or 4 years old is when they discovered that he was deaf. Orna is like really, really shocked about this and was like, "Excuse me, what did you just say? Like, they didn't know you were deaf until you were 3 or 4 years old." And Kyle is like, "I think my mom was just in denial and just wanted me to be a normal child and just convince herself that I could hear." So his deaf identity was suppressed and he was super isolated growing up through the years as a kid, in high school, in college. And it wasn't until he was introduced to like the gay community and he found, his people and then he felt less isolated. I didn't mention Kyle and Mundo are in a queer relationship. So he said that he used to lip read, and during COVID, where the masks were there, that his communication just went all the way down because, of course, you can't lip read when you have a mask. And it's just, Jen, these are the things that you don't think about, that you
Mm-hmm.
take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you could just communicate and you don't realize how, for some people, just even things like wearing a mask, where you're supposed to do that during COVID, severely impacts the way that they can communicate
Yeah.
during
And
that
be
time.
and beyond that, like, and I wonder too how often we never see it, but how often Orna says to people, like, you have you considered individual therapy? Because Kyle seems somebody that needs a lot of individual therapy. Because even just the deaf thing alone is wild for to have your not only your identity denied by your parent, but to have access to communication cut
Yeah.
off, and you've got to figure this all out in a different way. It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So Mondo steps in and Mondo mentions, like, all this whole time I'm thinking, like, Kyle is the person. There was another couple that we had the previous season where it seemed like one person was the dominant person and the other person had all the weight of the world on them. So I'm thinking, Kyle is the one that's, is the fragile one, and, we're going to have to handle him with care. And then Mondo comes in and is like, when the COVID happened, he had to step up and be the one, kind of communicating for him. And he says, like, he didn't want to be the parent. And he doesn't even mention it. Kyle's the one who says, I think it's important to note that your mom died of COVID. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a way to
That's a,
bury the lead.
that's a
It's a
thing.
thing
That's a
that you
thing.
should have started with.
That's important.
Yeah. So Orna is like, okay. And then what happened? He's like, when my mom died, everything in my life changed. I had to become the adult, even in the family. And it kind of feels like that is the dynamic in their relationship in that. And he doesn't want to be the one being the responsible one. Then he just casually reveals that they are trying an open relationship. I'm like, okay, this is just always, I've said this before. On TV so far, at least, and in my real life, I have not encountered it to be successful. It just always brings an extra layer of stress that the couple never seems to be able to handle. And he says that it was introduced by Kyle because Kyle says that he will not accept monogamy. I'm like, interesting choice of words.
You
But
know?
Mondo does say that if it was up to him, it would be a no because it's just less messy to be monogamous. And I think it is always selfish when one person decides they want to be in an open relationship or introduce someone into the relationship and the other person is not on board. Why do we have to go with your way? Why do you, it's like you want to eat your cake and have it at the expense of your partner who you claim you love.
Well, it's an ultimatum, and I don't know if anybody that successfully works an ultimatum. We have a whole show that shows that that doesn't work.
It
So
does work for them.
for some of them,
There's a higher success rate there
for some
than
of
Love
them.
is Blind, but okay.
But I have friends that are in the ethical non-monogamy lifestyle. But the
Hmm.
reason that that works is because everybody is on the same page. Like we both want this, and it involves an entirely different set of communication about boundaries, about wants and needs, and what you accept and what you won't accept, and to honor that person's boundaries, and to say to your partner, it's as bad as friggin' Boris for somebody to say, hey, this is important to me, and your partner to go, I kind of don't care because I want this. Like, that's
Hmm.
where's the middle ground? Like, there has to be, if you want this, Kyle, because you want to have sex with other people, but I want to be exclusive with you, there's got to be something in the middle versus you get all of what you want and I get nothing. I don't understand how
Hmm.
that's a functional relationship in any way, shape, or form, straight, queer, whatever. Like, that never works when one person gets everything and the other person gets nothing.
And I think what's sad is Mondo thinks that he has to do this. Mondo is like, I love him so much, and he feels like it's something that
Oh,
he has to
I
have. And I'm like,
cried.
he doesn't have to have it. And he feels like he has to explore it. His reasoning is that because he was suppressed for so long in all different areas of his life, and that's Kyle, that he feels like he owes it to him to allow him to express this and feel this whole or thing. And I'm like, Mondo, you shouldn't love anyone at your expense.
Right.
You should not burn yourself to warm somebody else. And if he needs to fill this up, do it, break up. And if it doesn't work out, maybe he can come back. But this is not, it doesn't seem sustainable
No. And I don't
at
know.
all.
I don't know if this was a plan, that this is a very, not only like a mixed cultural season, but also like a dead parent season. Because I think everybody, at least one person in the couple, has lost a parent,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
so
Yes, that's
I
true.
feel like that is a huge thing. To your point, like how Mondo just was going to gloss over it that he lost a parent. I
Yeah.
think losing that part of your family and becoming the adult in your
Yeah.
family, but also at the same time thinking, hey, I'm going to lose my relationship at the same time. I could see
Yeah.
how that would exacerbate him wanting to stay in this
That is a good
relationship
point.
while so many other pieces of his core relationships are changing. So, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Mondo.
That is a good point. That is a very good point. And I do want to say, like, in general, for the most part, on couples therapy, I get the sense that a lot of them are like, I would rather stay in this shitty mess than go out and start over, which is not unique to this show. But, when we say, why do they want to do this? I think it's just the thought of starting over again. It's like, what am I going to encounter? But better the devil I know than the devil that I don't know. And I think the human brain is conditioned to think that things can only go worse. But the first thought is never like, things might be better. I might meet someone who loves me the way I want to be loved and is like, I'm gonna make this work no matter how miserable I am.
No.
But Mondo does say like he wants to know why it's so important for him to have this open relationship. I mean, I realized, I don't know if it was intentional, like Kyle didn't actually say much. I mean, we're gonna see more maybe in future episodes why he wants to do this, but he didn't say much. He actually just let him talk, which I would appreciate. I appreciate that over like some of the couples that keep chiming in and want to be right. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
a Love is Blind UK reunion where you're just chiming in, telling them, ah, no, you're wrong. No, you don't feel this way.
Right. Well, luckily nobody came in
Oh
with those
man.
curly tendrils, so that was a nice break.
Okay, so our final couple is Nick and Catherine. Nick and Catherine have been together for 14 years. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have anything else for Kyle and Mundo?
No, that was it. I think
Okay.
a lot of they both need a lot of stuff on their own, and my heart just hurts for Mondo, especially they filmed this in 2024, so there's not a good amount of time to pass when you lose a parent
Yeah.
to be over it. So to me, all of this for him is still fresh, and I just hope he gets some help with that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Nick and Catherine, like I said, been together for 14 years. And you guys, I'm just going to confess. They start by saying that they went to an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. And I rolled my eyes because I, I associate this ayahuasca with people who don't want to do the work or go to actual therapy because I've seen it on like reality TV shows. And they want to tell you, like, oh, I did this and think that that's good replacement for actually like dealing with stuff that they've done with. So I apologize if this is like a way of life for some and you actually believe in this. I just like it could be an added tool, but it cannot be the only thing. So yes, they're doing therapy now, and great for them. But they did this together, and Catherine, why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because it reminds me of what you said at the opening of this episode, that we don't talk about things before we record. And so I did not tell you that I have done ayahuasca when we were in Ecuador. And I was trying to decide if I should tell you or not.
You
Um,
can't.
but
This is a safe space. Wink, wink.
we we listen and we don't judge. Um, this was not a replacement of
Yeah.
therapy for me.
Hmm.
And again, I think I'm trying to not have this be all about me, but for your guests that may not know, so my husband and I started traveling internationally in 2022 after I lost both of my parents within a year. And so we were in Ecuador. And so, as we're traveling, we're exploring the world, we're kind of doing things we never would have done otherwise. And so
Hmm.
ayahuasca was something that, my husband had listened to on podcast, and he was like, would you try this? I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting drug tested. Let's go. Um, so I had a really positive experience. For me, it was, we were in the middle of nowhere and there was a shaman and all of that good stuff. And they talk about you being the earth, being like the mother earth and protecting you and all of this stuff. And so what that said to me was I'm being protected by women. And so my favorite aunt, Ty Valerie, popped up to me and was giving me really
Mm-hmm.
like encouraging words. And for some reason, Lizzo popped up to me
Oh
and was
wow.
giving really encouraging stuff. So I came out of it feeling like I've got this, I've got the world by the nuts. I can do anything. So it came away for me being a really powerful experience. There was nobody else in my group that had an experience like Nick where they cried and bawled and it was really dramatic and all of that. So I acknowledge that it happened. I will just say it was not my experience.
Okay. And I think I want to clarify is like I'm not against it. I think it's when again, like I said, a replacement because as
Yeah.
we are going to talk about, Nick is still not willing to share in therapy, but he was willing to give his all for the ayahuasca experience. So that's where I think I'm thinking of like for those who watch Southern Charm, Shep Rose, like he went on that after he had his experience instead of checking himself into like maybe rehab or something. He's like, "Oh, I did this retreat and stuff." I'm like, "Okay."
And Aaron
In
Rodgers did that
addition,
too. Instead
who?
of Aaron Rodgers from the
Oh,
Packers,
well,
like, yeah, how about you re-examine your life, bro? He's like, I'm gonna go do ayahuasca. So no, it's to your point, it's not a replacement
yeah.
for therapy. So yeah.
Yeah. So Nick says that he has had a lot of grief, a lot of shame, and a lot of pain. And his wife, Catherine, is like, it was hard for her to hear him in distress because she feels like he has been in distress for most of their relationship.
Hmm.
And yeah, my voice just went a pitch higher because when I first heard it, I was like, is it the relationship causing the distress or he's dealing with personal things and has been in distress for most of the relationship? Either way, it doesn't sound fun. It
No.
just sounds like he's in pain. And the sad part is when you look at Nick, you can see the pain. He visibly looks like he is in pain
And
when he
again,
was on the couch.
somebody else that needs some individual therapy. Like your
Yeah.
wife is not, and this goes to there's a TikToker I follow, and she's always talking about men and like y'all want a maid and a therapist and a cook and a sex worker. You want
Hmm.
all your wife to be all of these things, and that's kind of the feeling that I got from him is like he picked a partner who wanted her to be all of these things and she is out of her depth. This is not what she's
Yeah.
qualified to do. So I'm impressed that he agreed to be on the show.
Yeah. I can't remember if he shared it or if Catherine shared it, but his mom passed away 5 years ago from Parkinson's, but not just Parkinson's, but with other things that they could not detect. But he has decided that the other things they couldn't detect was sadness. So I think that's the journey we're going to project because it sounds like this is some kind of, for lack of a better word, generational trauma, because I think he even said for himself that he thinks that he absorbed some of the sadness. Catherine says that she's scared of his being open and then he becomes closed off because she watched his dad be the caretaker to his mom and they literally had no relationship and all they do is like take care of things, but there's no love between them. So I think Catherine is like watching her relationship from the sidelines and feels like she's seen a glimpse of it from his parents' relationship and she's trying not to go there, but it's not sure how to not go there when she sees all of the signs in Nick and Nick doesn't seem open to stopping the train. In
Yeah.
fact, he's like, two tickets for one, please. So, yeah. But the thing is, you can see that she loves him
Yeah.
and she's just sad and she just wants them to be better and it's just like you cannot make someone get to a point until they get there themselves. Orna has her own session with Dr. Virginia and she's saying like both of them are avoidant. I didn't get it. We didn't get a lot of them, so I didn't get it yet, but I'm sure they've spoken more about stuff and Orna has picked up on that. And she says that there's a great amount of sadness between them. So I'm interested to see how she does the work and how she gets Nick to have a breakthrough to kind of share. I'm interested in seeing what this shame and pain that he talked about is to see what that's about. The grief I get because he lost his mom, but he mentioned that he has some shame. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know either. I wonder if it's a situation where he's worried that whatever, if he's genetically carrying stuff that his
Mm,
mother had, and if maybe, because I think they have a kid, uh, if that's passed down, he could potentially pass that down to his kid. So I guess there could be shame if I'm
yeah,
guessing. I don't know, but and he may not even know, and it may be Orna asking him 1,000 questions that if he answers
gets him there.
one, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get there. So
Yeah, I wonder if, like you said, individual therapy. I wonder if if it's gonna come out, if there's maybe like a mild case of like depression going on. Because, like I said, I feel like I can visibly see that he's sad.
yeah, and
Um,
to your point, and she said too, and I think when if he's in this protector mode, and him and his dad are in these like we're just going to do what we got to do, and not express our emotions on that, I could see how that would spill into his relationship too, which is a
mhm.
lot.
Yeah. I mean, that was it for it. I think the last thing I just want to share is like, I don't know, guys. In the therapy session, Nick had a baseball cap on. When they were home, Nick did not have a baseball cap on. Nick with and without a baseball cap are two different people. Wanted to say that.
Oh, good.
Look at
You found
me.
a way to make us laugh. I was really worried we were going to go through this whole episode and not laugh. Thank you.
No. I was like, I'm talking about this man is sad and look at me talking about his baseball cap, but I am only human. So anyways, that was it. I mean, it's fun. Like, it's good to see where they start from and good to see where they end. And I'm curious. And in Orna, we trust we are going to see how this ends up for the season. So, like I said, guys, you can find the show on Paramount Plus or Showtime. And it is season 4, episode 10. That is where we are starting from. I know this is a little confusing. Sorry. All right, Jen, before we sign out, can you share with people? You talked a little bit about the traveling. Where can they watch these fun travels? I mean, I
Yay.
think I saw Scott with his risky business move.
I know. We did that in a palace. I'm like, we're so embarrassing. So yes, we are in traveling through Asia right now. We are in Vietnam. So we will be here for another couple weeks before we go to Thailand. So if you want to follow our adventures abroad where we don't always do ayahuasca, you can find us on jns.adventures on YouTube and Instagram.
Okay. And for me, you can find me also called MAFS. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on X.
X gonna give it to you.
On Threads also. And please give me a 5-star rating. It helps the podcast. And like I always say, if you don't like it, I appreciate your point of view. Don't give me a 1-star rating, just the 5-star ratings, please. And stay subscribed so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And until next time, bye, guys.